Strap in, buckle up, and get ready to lay it on the line. This is Not Speeding, Just Qualifying, a podcast that's just as fast as it sounds. What's good, family? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Not Speeding, Just Qualifying podcast. I'm your host, David Lawrence. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Greatly appreciate it, as always. Before we get started, just a reminder, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. We also have a nice little corner on YouTube Music if you prefer to go that way. We do not judge. Whichever way you choose to subscribe to us, we welcome it all the same. Today, we are doing part 2 of our NSJQ Predict series, our preseason predictions as the racing season ramps up. And today, we're going to talk about the biggest sports car racing championship that goes across the world. I'm referring to the FIA World Endurance Championship. So today, I have 7 predictions of what the championship is going to look like throughout the season. By the way, there are 2 classes in the World Endurance Championship, a prototype class known simply as Hypercar, and a GT3 class for GT production cars. I have 4 predictions on each, and I'll make one of the predictions for both classes. We'll put them all together in one final prediction. But let's start with a couple of Hypercar predictions. Let's start with the 2-time defending champions of the Le Mans 24 Hours, Ferrari. Ferrari, of course, have been a tear with their 499P at Circuit de la Sarthe. However, for the factory of course team, those are their only 2 wins in the World Endurance Championship. A win apiece for both of their cars, and each of their 6 drivers have now tasted Le Mans victory. But they are yet to taste a win at a regular World Endurance Championship round. I think that changes this year. Prediction number 1, the Ferrari factory team, Ferrari of course, will win a race outside of Le Mans. Granted, the 499P has already won a regular round of the World Endurance Championship, but it was the private run of course car tasting victory at Circuit of the Americas last September. Another reason they want to get onto this is that they want to become a true championship contender and mount a championship charge. Consider this, outside of their Le Mans win last year, the team only scored 2 podiums across their 2 cars. Compare that to 2023, the first year that Ferrari came to the World Endurance Championship. They scored 5 podiums outside of their Le Mans win. And remember, they had a double podium at Le Mans, 1st and 3rd. The factory team, as I mentioned, they want to become a championship contender, so they'll definitely want to rectify this. Yes, Ferrari said we came back to WEC to win Le Mans, but you got to think a World Endurance Manufacturers Championship will look pretty appetizing to the men in scarlet red from Maranello. Let's see how that plays out this season. Now let's talk about Ferrari's competitors, Cadillac and BMW. Cadillac's been in the game for the last couple of seasons. BMW made their debut last year. However, I think they're ready to step up their game. Prediction number 2 I have, Cadillac and BMW will get their first World Endurance Championship wins in Hypercar. For the record, let's start with Cadillac. Cadillac now has a new team after 2 seasons with Chip Ganassi racing at the World Endurance Championship stage. Cadillac now has a new team running their V-Series R hypercars in the form of Hertz Team Yota. Hertz Team Yota are winners in the World Endurance Championship as privateers. They won last year's Spa 6-hour race in a privately ran Porsche 963. I can only imagine if a team as a privateer, yes, they get some support, but they're not a factory team winning outright, beating the big guns. Now you're giving them a factory effort. Oh, watch out. Hertz Team Yota might be lethal this year, and I'm pretty sure that's a reason Cadillac recruited Hertz Team Yota to run their program. For BMW, I saw a lot of progression in the second half of the season, especially in their number 15 car. They finished in the top 8 in the last 4 races, capped off by a runner-up finish in the Fuji 6-hour in the penultimate race of the season. Combine the steady progression of BMW I think both manufacturers, in addition with Cadillac's, I won't say an upgrade, but switching to teams with Kurt's team, I think both of those elements will see both manufacturers tend to take that next step towards winning races and contending for the championship this season. Now let's switch gears. Let's talk GT3. Prediction number 3, 6 different manufacturers will taste victory in the class in 2025. In GT3, it's always been about manufacturer involvement, even from the very beginning of the formula all the way back in 2005 under SRO. With it coming under ACO, the ACO has taken a really big initiative, I should say, to make sure that everything is about as equal as it is. We have 9 highly competitive manufacturers. Everybody's back from 2024 with the exception of Mercedes replacing Lamborghini. Of the 9 that we had last year, 4 brands, those being BMW, Porsche, Ferrari, and Aston Martin, scored wins last season. Combine that with the other brands like McLaren, Corvette, the aforementioned Mercedes, Lexus, and Ford, we all have no reason to expect not just the 4 brands that won last year, but the other brands that are competing in this championship that didn't win last year. They're going to be upping their game to make sure that they're not left out when we get to the season finale in Bahrain. So I just feel with all of the competition amongst the manufacturers, you got to think more manufacturers are going to break through and win this season. Let's say in GT3, let's talk about BMW a little bit, and let's talk particularly about one of their drivers. Prediction number 4, Valentino Rossi will score his first World Endurance Championship win for BMW this season. The Doctor is back for his second WEC season after running the number 46 last year, and if you have been watching Valentino ever since he made the transition, he continues to get better with each passing year. Even last season, in his first season of World Endurance Championship competition, he scored 2 podiums, the highlight runner-up on home soil in Imola. And he's got a little continuity. Oman's Ahmed Al-Harthi is back with him in that number 46 car. However, they have a new pro driver. Gone is Maxime Martin. He's now signed with Mercedes, but this year they now bring in new BMW factory driver Kelvin van der Linde of South Africa. And if you know about Kelvin, you know he is a very rapid racer. So safe to say, with a little bit of familiarity in Al-Harthi, a speedy teammate in Van der Linde who just knows GT racing inside and out, and now he's in a car that really can show his speed. Combine that in a team that won races last year, I think the ingredients are right there for the Doctor to finally take the top step of the podium in GT3 come this season at some point. Where? Don't ask me about that one just yet. Now that we've talked about people that could potentially win, I want to change the script a little bit. Prediction number 5. I think Proton Racing and the Ford Mustang GT3 will be the biggest disappointment in the World Endurance Championship this season. Here's my rationale behind that. If you've been hiding under a rock, at the Rolex 24, Ford Mustang finally got its first win with Multimatic Motorsports in the GTD Pro category. Now I feel there's going to be a little bit of pressure on Proton to say, all right guys, we need y'all to step up and win. But here's where my rationale is with that. You got a decent amount of turnover. Yes, every team has some turnover, granted, but 3 out of 6 drivers new to the squad this season is not going to be the biggest of obstacles, but I still feel will be an obstacle nonetheless. However, there's something for me to be said when your team owner, Christian Royd, is going to drive for another team on the grid. If you have not heard, Royd will actually be competing for Iron Link's Mercedes in one of their 2 AMG GT3s this season. When your own team owner is not racing for his own team, I know this is something that is, I won't say commonplace, and this is not the first time Roy's done this before, but it says something when you're competing against your own product and your own team that to me does not sit well. So I know Ford is ramping up their motorsports activity. Of course, if you have not heard, they will be joining World Endurance in the hypercar category for 2027 with their full return to Le Mans 24 hours. And they're going to be doubling down on supercar commitments. They're putting more GT3 teams in Europe with SRO. They're going to be doing, of course, their return to Formula One with their powertrain, with collaboration with Red Bull. With all this hype around Ford's motorsports program, for their World Endurance GT3 customer team to not win this season, I think there's going to be a lot of negativity going around that. And I just feel all this pressure, now that we know the car is a winning car, I feel there's going to be a lot more on that Proton team, and I just feel like they're just not going to come up to the expectations. So that's why I say, and maybe I'm wrong, hopefully I'm wrong on this, that's why I'm predicting Ford as my biggest overall disappointment in World Endurance. Moving on to the big one, the 93rd 24 Hours of Le Mans. My prediction for this race, prediction number 6, my Le Mans headline for Monday morning on June 16th, Penske conquers final frontier. The 963 triumphs at La Sarthe. Porsche has the momentum. They've won the other big 24-hour race for prototypes, the Rolex 24, now the last 2 years. They are the reigning World Endurance Championship Drivers' Champion team. This is year 3 for Porsche. And let's run a little history lesson for you. Porsche has now won with the 917, the 936, the 935, the 956, 962, the TWR LMP prototype, the 962 Dower homologation special, the 911 GT1, and the Porsche 919. In case you lost count, that is 9 consecutive models that Porsche has won at Le Mans with. Since the 917, every model they've brought to Le Mans to compete for outright victory has prevailed. I don't expect that streak to end with the 963. Yes, you can say the ACO can balance it over hypercar built prototypes over the LMDH built prototypes. Yes. However, Porsche proved last year that if everything is as balanced and as equal, the tables fall and everything falls their way, Porsche can take advantage. By the way, the 963 won 3 races last season. So there's definitely place for the LMDH Formula cars to compete and win in WEC. And I think this is the year, if any LMDH spec prototype is going to win, I think 2025 is the year. And because it's Porsche, how can you beat it? They are the winningest manufacturer in this race. So they have the expertise, they have the know-how. Their cars are just the most reliable things on the planet. And as a manufacturer that's won 19 of these races, if there's any money I'm betting on this year's Le Mans, as any year Porsche's in the dogfight, I'll bet on the brand from Stuttgart. I just have my feeling in my gut. This is the year Porsche finally wins Le Mans with their 963. And a little bit of a side prediction, I think Sebastian Vettel will get a seat in that third Porsche that will be competing at Le Mans thanks to their IMSA success. Whew. Now with all that being said, last but not least, let's talk champions. Prediction number 7, Toyota prevails in hypercar while Ferrari will be crowned champions in GT3. Toyota was the original manufacturer, the first manufacturer that bought into the ACO's hypercar regulations back in 2021 as they were the lone stall out from LMP1. Toyota remains the most consistent package in the championship, winning year in and year out. Even though they lost the Drivers' Championship last season, they maintained the manufacturer's crown. And I feel, even with the added challenges of Ferrari, Porsche, I mentioned earlier the increased presence from Cadillac and from BMW as they ramp up their programs, I just feel Toyota still has enough in their ranks. Highly talented, highly combative, highly competitive. Their GR010 hypercar, battle-tested, well-proven. I see them fending off the competition again and recapturing the driver's crown in the process. As for Ferrari and GT3, they found their stride at the end of 2024. Both of their cars won a race apiece. They won the last 2 rounds at Fuji and Bahrain a year ago. And they have consistency. All 6 drivers are back. The driver lineups are the same. They're not changing anything except the numbers. Only the number 55 is not going to be the number 21 this year. But outside of that, I just don't see anything happening. And I feel consistency is the best policy if you want to achieve greatness. I think Ferrari's well set up in GT3. Vista A, of course, a champion team in GT racing. I think Ferrari has enough to dethrone Manthey and Porsche this season. All right, family, that concludes my predictions for the World Endurance Championship season. You see them up here on the screen as a little bit of a recap. In the comment section, let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Or is the logic spot on? Again, let me know in the comments what you think, and also drop your own predictions for the upcoming World Endurance Championship season as well. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Before we sign off, just a reminder, like us on our social media channels. Follow us on X, IG, and Blue Sky. We are at the handle NSJQ Podcast. We are also on YouTube and YouTube Music. Subscribe to us there so you do not miss when we drop new content, videos, episodes. We're even going to get into shorts. I'm still figuring it out, y'all, but we're getting there. Last but not least, if you want to follow me on my social media channels, my personals, I will have the information and the handles to those in the description box below this episode. Hope you guys enjoy the World Endurance Championship season. Until next time, I'm David Lawrence, and remember, you're not living life to the fullest until you're going flat out. So long, everyone.